the R.M.Williams Outback podcast, bringing to life the characters that feature in Outback magazine and more.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Terry Cowley, your host of the Outback podcast. In this episode, you'll meet the effervescent Marion, or as she's widely known, Maz Saunders, Outback pub owner and somewhat unexpected star of social media. You can read about Maz's pub, the Carinda Hotel, in issue 165 of Outback, and in the following issue you can read her beautiful poem which celebrates older women on the land. I'm sure you'll enjoy meeting marvellous Maz. I certainly did. When Peter and Maz Saunders took on the Carinda Hotel a year ago, they made up for a lack of experience with a full glass of enthusiasm. The village of Carinda is on the black soil plains of the Walgett in northern New South Wales. That might sound like an unlikely location to be a social media influencer, but that's what Maz is when she isn't working in and around the pub. On Instagram, she describes herself as a 60-plus mum and nan in the Outback, helping women in midlife with style and humour. And also owner of the iconic Outback pub from David Bowie's Let's Dance video. By the way, she has 236,000 followers on that platform alone. So there's a lot to talk about with Maz. I'm so pleased she joins me on the podcast now. Hi, Maz.
How are you, Terry? Nice to see you.
Same here. Very well, thank you. Well, little did we know the firecracker we'd be getting when we featured the story on the Carinda Hotel in issue 165 of Outback magazine. Thanks for your enthusiasm and getting the story out there.
I know, it was such an honour. I've been buying the Outback magazine for years, and I'd never, ever thought that I'd actually be in the magazine. So when we had the opportunity to tell our story and be part of it, was just such an absolute honour. And I was shouting it from as you know, I was just telling everybody, look at this, yay!
I wish more people would do what you did, trust me. It's all very helpful in getting it out there. Perhaps if we talk about the pub first. So the Carinda Hotel is pretty much the only business in town.
Yes, yeah. We had a really bad storm come through in 2024, a tornado that ripped the town apart. We had damage to our house. We lost our roof. There was about 3 or 4 other homes that lost roofs. We lost our beautiful little Carinda store, which had so much history. Like, was the most beautiful little building. And that was the cafe and the post office. And anyway, it's completely gone. So, yeah, lost a lot of history and a lot of homes. And then the service station, it was only just a card machine, so that was closed as well. And since all that's happened, we've since taken the post office on as well, and that's all included in the pub now. So we do the coffees and we do the post and we do the beers, basically.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, we're your one-stop shop.
You took over the hotel in March 2025. Tell us a bit more about that journey over the past year.
Yeah, it's just turned 12 months since we took over. We've been in the district for about 20 years and our roots are here, even though we're still not classed as locals yet, but our roots are here. Our kids, I've got 2 daughters who are on properties about 20 minutes from town, and we sort of was in semi-retirement. We've been managing a property for nearly 20 years, cotton cropping and cattle, and fairly labour intensive. And so we sort of were in semi-retirement. Hubby was doing a bit of work, stock and station agents for a company in Walgett. Anyway, when the storm hit, it had just ripped the town apart, and the pub had been owned by a fellow, and I think he'd had it for a little bit too long and was thinking about getting out. And a lot of people were just, wanting someone to take it on and bring it back to life, basically. And a lot of people didn't come to the pub. Not a lot of meals were served there. So after the storm, we sort of thought, God, if someone doesn't get hold of that pub, we're going to have nothing as a community, because it was the hub of the place. So my husband just went up to the pub one Sunday afternoon and came back and said, well, I bought the pub. And that was it. And I went, what? What do we know about running a pub? He said, oh, look, we've learnt most things pretty quick and, so this can't be any different. So, yeah. Yeah, and since then, we've actually just bought another one and take over in 3 weeks at Yamudgery.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a really family-run pub. Our daughters are involved, and our other daughter from Dubbo, her and her husband are going to run the new one at Yamudgery. It's called the Drover's Dogs. So that all happens on the 17th of April. I don't even know if you knew that, Terry.
No, I didn't. Wow.
Yeah. So it's another small community. The people that have had that hotel have had it for about 20 years, and it's a really similar community to where we are in Carinda. So we're going to hopefully be able to have the same impact there as we've had here. So very excited, because we're all about turning these places into where it's a family-orientated hotel where you come with your family, your kids, great food, great hospitality and good service.
You've made quite a few improvements, haven't you?
We have, yeah. The first month we demolished the backyard we took 70 tonnes of rubbish in the first couple of weeks out of the backyard and cleaned it, and it was a lot to clean up. The kitchen alone, like the new appliances, we basically had to rebuild it from up again, and new ceilings. I think there's about 60 grand's worth of new appliances in the kitchen that you walk in and you go, what have you done? And I'm going, well, it's a lot better than it was. And a beer garden, which was like about $80,000. But it's like an oasis for us now. We've had so many functions out the back since we've had that. We've had like 80th birthdays. We've had race nights after our races we have every year here in July, which is a huge event. Last year we did all records. It was 800 people. We have the Calcutta the night before, the race meeting all come back, and we have a live band, and it was just a fantastic weekend. And then we have our festival, which is in October for David Bowie, because that's a little bit of history about our hotel as well. So, yeah, lots of improvements, and every day we just tick another job off the list, because as soon as you get one done, there's another one that pops up that you didn't even know you had to do.
Not having been pub owners before, and I think you were maybe thinking about at least semi-retirement at that time, it's a very brave move to take that on.
It was. And the other thing was too, is we've got 10 grandchildren and hopefully a few more to come. And a lot of our children go to the little local school here. I've got 7 children at our little, I think it's 16 at the moment at our school. And it's sort of a legacy we're building to leave for the next generation that's coming along, because they'll all go back to the land, hopefully, and be in the district when they're older. So it's sort of a thing that we hope that our other children will take over once we decide to get out of it, which I can't see happening in the foreseeable future. But there's a legacy left for them, so they've got somewhere, because really this is all we've got of the community in a 200-kilometre radius. This pub is the hub for everything. We have wakes, birthdays, christenings, you name it. It's all. We even had a church service after come down to the pub, so because the hall sustained damage in the storm as well. So it's only just recently been fixed up. So yeah, it's just such an important part of our community.
And you've had plenty of support from the wider region.
Yes, yeah, we actually have planes flying from Warren. Last weekend we had 4 or 5 planes just ring up and say, we're coming up for lunch, any chance of a lift? And I said, just buzz the pub. And so they'll fly over the top of the pub, and then I'll just drive out and pick them up at the airstrip, bring them back, and they have lunch and I take them back. And it's just wonderful to see people just coming, because, we pride ourselves on our food, because my son-in-law, we use a lot of local produce, and he owns the local butcher shop. So because they're on a property, all their lambs we have, and we're renowned for our cutlets and steaks. So yeah, the quality of our food, we just try and keep that up, and word's gotten out how good it is.
Obviously. Now, you mentioned David Bowie, so the pub was the location for the video of Bowie's 1983 hit Let's Dance. Can you expand a little on that history?
Oh, certainly can. I don't know how many times I've told this story, because it still fascinates me how, just by a serendipitous moment, that we ended up having this connection with David Bowie. Apparently, he wanted to film this film clip to Let's Dance in an Outback pub. So there was a scout that was on the duty of finding the location, and the location requirements were it had to be a little Outback pub on a 4-way road intersection, but it had to be all dirt, no tar, no bitumen, and just in a tiny little remote village. Anyway, apparently he'd been looking, and he ended up in Coonabarabran and was having a counter lunch and a beer at the pub there. And the guy behind the bar said, "Oh, what are you up to, mate?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm trying to find this pub. I can't let too much out, but it's for a film clip and this is the requirements." And then as soon as he said what was looking for, the guy said, "You need to go to Carinda, mate. That's exactly what's out there." So he came out, and that's why it ended up being at Carinda. The day that it actually happened, because my best mate was actually in Carinda when it was all filmed, is that nobody knew about him coming, and the only person that knew was the publican, and he was told, "Don't say anything." So when they actually came to Carinda, because it was a small remote place, everybody was on the farms working. There were no young people in town. The only people at the pub were the actual regular usual ones that turn up for their beers of a morning or whatever. And so when they got there, they had no extras for the film clip, and they had like the roadies and all those people that were filming, but no extras. So they actually, why you see a lot in the clip, there's a lot of old timers dancing in the clip, because they were the only people they could actually get to be as extras, because there was nobody else in town, and back then there were no mobile phones. So very interesting how that happened. But then when word got out, a few people were able to get messages out. People came into town, and because I've got a fantastic photo in the pub of the whole crew and David Bowie and all the other people that came into town after it was filmed. It's black and white, just standing out the front of the pub, which I'm very, very lucky to have. It was just such one that I came across, and it's pride and place on the wall.
Fair enough. It's a really quirky story to be able to tell. And I think you mentioned you have a bit of a Let's Dance festival.
Yes, October long weekend every year. There's a committee in town that organise a Let's Dance festival, and it goes usually Friday night up until Sunday, because it's the long weekend. And we've got fantastic camping facilities here. The council's really been wonderful in helping us upgrade everything. We've got fantastic hot showers, toilets, hard stand. And so we have people come. We've actually had a lot of international visitors that come and stay for the whole weekend, and we have bands on the Friday night. Then that goes on. They have activities on the Saturday. Then on Sunday, we actually have a reenactment at the hotel. On the wall where he filmed the clip, last year we had Starman, who was absolutely amazing. He's a David Bowie impersonator, but sings all his songs, and you would think it was David Bowie. He came and did the whole set, played for about 3 hours, I think it was. The pub was, if you go onto our Facebook page, the pub was absolutely heaving. We had all the doors open. People were dancing on the bar. They were actually out in the street because they couldn't fit inside, dancing in the street to all these David Bowie songs. It was absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure he would have been proud of the reenactment on the wall, because we haven't changed anything. We've just left everything the same as what it was in the film clip. So when you see him in that wall leaning up against it, if you get the chance, we haven't changed anything.
Awesome. So now to talk about your other life, your online life. I'm wondering, where did all that start?
Oh, God. And it's funny, I was only thinking about this the other day, influencers and that. I've been doing this, I think I started in 2014, so over 10 years, 12 years, I think, since I started. And it was very just by accident. I had a blog page years ago that I'd started, and it was just something, because we'd moved to Carinda and I'd left a lot of my friends, and I was so used to being busy. And, I used to do a lot of things like paint furniture, and I had a business that we actually had a sea change to the Gold Coast. We've always been country people. We've been around Moree, Rowena, and I'm from Broken Hill originally, and Pete's from Narrabri. But we had a sea change for about 3 years and moved up to the Gold Coast and realised that we were definitely not city people, definitely country people. But while I was there, I actually opened up my own interior business called Maz Interiors at Southport. And I was so used to being busy and having so much to do every day when I went to work that when we moved back to the country and so remote out at Carinda, I was missing that element of my life, because I was on the farm with Peter and we were working side by side, driving tractors, mustering, all the stuff that we were doing with this large-scale property. And I was just lost. I thought, where's this creative side that I used to have that I wasn't doing? So the girls said, start a blog, Mum, show people what you used to do, because I used to paint furniture and restore furniture and, styling things and whatever. So I started doing that. And then they said, but for people to find you, you need to be on social media. And at that stage, I was only on Facebook to stalk my kids at boarding school. And even then they didn't accept my friend request. But that was the only reason I really had social media, and it was Facebook. And they said, get onto Instagram, we'll sign you up. What do you want to be called? And I said, well, my shop at the Gold Coast was Maz Interiors. How about we just do Maz Lifestyle, because that covers everything that I do. Because I wanted to share life on the land. I wanted to share snippets of what I was doing that I just felt, wanted to share. And so they said, okay, here's your Instagram account, your Maz Lifestyle. You'd linked up to your blog page. There you go. And I said, well, what do I do? And they said, we don't care, Mum. Here's the page. You have a look at it. So I started to just look at Instagram, and I'm thinking, what are all these people doing on? Because I had no idea. And then I sort of stumbled across these women that were so-called, and I don't like the terminology influencer because I never want to influence anybody, people that were dressing up and showing women how to dress and styles. And I thought, well, that's interesting because I love fashion and I used to make my own clothes. And that was another thing. I did a clothing range 3 or 4 times. And then I thought, okay, this is great. And then as I got through it a little bit, I'm thinking, well, God, where's the people that look like me? Where are the women with wrinkles? Where are the people that have had a life, that have got children, that, I wasn't seeing a representation of me and how I felt. So I thought, oh, okay, rightio. Well, this, have a crack at this. So I started to post outfits of the day. And sometimes it was when I was just doing a town trip. I was doing a parts run to Canamble or something, and I'd had a nice pair of jeans on the shirt or something, and I was just whatever. Then some days it would be just workwear, like in a pair of jeans and boots or something. And then it was like, okay, I'll explore it a little more and put some out. And I still remember this day. It was so funny. And oh my God, I wrote about it in my blog. People, once I had a few followers, and look, I had 15 followers and most of them were friends, and I was so happy. Like, I thought, my God, I've got 15 followers, and I was just so thankful. And then it grew, and I've still got a lot of followers have followed me from the beginning, and we still talk daily. And a lot would say, okay, Maz, what have you got in the way of evening wear? I've got to go to a ball. I don't know what to wear. So I remember doing this blog post one day, and I pulled out all my evening dresses, and I was doing this whole big thing, photographing them on the lawn and styling them up. And anyway, I was out on the front lawn, and I was in this ball gown, black taffeta looking thing. Next minute, I saw a car coming down the driveway, and it wasn't my husband's car. And I've gone, oh my God. So I've hightailed it. I don't know how I didn't break my neck. I hightailed it down the veranda and scooted around the side where our bedroom door was, raced inside, had a look, and realised it was our agronomist. I thought, shit, he's coming in. Oh, sorry, I swore. Is that okay?
No, that's all right.
I did say shit. And then I thought, oh my God, he's here for morning tea. And Peter would have come, he was coming straight behind him. So I thought, great, I got out of the dress, put my work clothes back on and met them in the kitchen, said, oh, okay, I'll put the jug on, let's have some morning tea, and grab the scones or whatever I'd had in the cupboard. And then I just ducked off to the loo and realised that I had these chandelier earrings on and bright red lipstick. And I thought, this guy is going to think that I've really dressed up for him. Wouldn't have had any clue what I was doing. And oh my God, so I ripped the earrings off, went back out and said, oh, how you going? And oh God, it was funny. So funny. I've never forgotten that day. But no, and then it's just grown into just the lovely messages I've got from women saying, thank you for being on this platform. You're making me feel seen, like you've got wrinkles, and you have days where you're a dad, because we all do that. And just being relatable to people, and there's nothing, just and authentic and just not fake. Like you see so much of it on social media these days, that it's just, I suppose people aren't used to it.
So when did it all start to take off, do you think?
Well, I had about 30,000 followers when maybe 2018, and I was just blown away. Like, I thought, my God, 30,000 followers. And because I'm so passionate about everybody means, like something to me, because I will spend hours replying to comments, and on the other side of that, you get the DMs from people where they go, look, I've got to go to a wedding, I need this, I've got no idea, I'm this high, I'm this size, can you give me some suggestions or some brands? And, I'll sit there and I'll link and send links to people, and like all that happens behind the scenes as well as creating the content that you see on the grid. So much of that, but everybody means so much to me that that's just what I do. Part of it. But I think where the change was when Instagram brought out Reels. That was a game changer for me, because then I could really have some fun on the creative side because I love acting out. I'm 63 and I still love a good joke. So once Reels came in, that opened up a whole other creative side of things that I could have fun with, which was like doing funny skits, adding voiceovers to mundane activities, but you'll find a voiceover that you can put with like, I'll go into town to do the groceries or something like that. And then, you turn it into this bit of a comic show. And that, honestly, I love the most is I love making people laugh. I love, because the world is so serious and with what's happening at the moment. And I just think if I can make someone have a giggle first thing in the morning and not be that doom and gloom, then it just makes me so happy to do that. And that's when I think I picked up a lot of followers because they weren't used to a 63-year-old making fun of herself or being silly or funny or whatever. And I love it, absolutely love it.
And you're an ambassador for so many brands now. They obviously appreciate what you do.
Yeah, and I love working with them. It's just been so, like, to think just little old me who lives in the middle of bum truck nowhere has this connection and this friendship. I feel so blessed that I get to work alongside these brands that are just such iconic brands in Australia, and Motto and Carolina and Bird's Nest and places like that. They've been around a lot longer than I have. And to be able to showcase their brands. But I don't know how much of that I'll be doing with this new hotel, though. That's the only thing. I might have to scale that back a little bit because my fashion at the moment, I had to go and get some new bits and pieces because we will be renovating this hotel. We'll be cleaning it. We'll be doing lots of jobs and I need to be workwear orientated.
Yeah, I was going to say it must take a lot of time and effort to fulfill those obligations.
Oh, it does. And because you see all these other people that are working, especially in the city, because I just live in as I said, I'm middle of nowhere out here and I don't have access. My hairdresser's 3 hours away. So I do everything myself. I film it, I edit it, I do makeup, hair, styling, press the garments.
I think I saw you doing a video along those lines. You were like, come meet the team. And every team member was you in a different role. That was a good one.
Yep, the social media, the everything,
camera,
the accountant, the camera, you name it. There's no. So I might be lucky one or two. If I've got something that might be an outside location, I love it because my friends, I've got a couple of mates that I can call upon to give me a hand, especially when we do lives, which is a live try on when you're working for a brand. So I'll actually live stream a try on of their new collection in my spare bedroom, basically. But I've got a couple of mates that come round and they sit there and they field all the questions because when I do it, I can't see the camera. I just stand in front of it and show everybody. And so they go, oh, somebody wants to know what size are you wearing, or, what's the name of that pair of earrings or necklace you're wearing? Where's that from? And so they love it, and I've thoroughly enjoyed including them, and we have so much fun when we do the lives, and they also help if I need to shoot outside. They'll come and give me a hand. But yeah, generally 99% of the time it's just a one-man band.
You obviously enjoy it and you know how to have fun with it. But I have noticed a lot of your recent content has been about cost of living pressures. So obviously there is a time to be serious.
Oh, there is. But I try to put what everybody's feeling and the pain that everybody is feeling, because we're not immune to it. Everybody is feeling it, but then I'll put a bit of a funny twist to it without being serious. It's a serious topic, but then I'll do it in a way where you can have a bit of a laugh with it.
Such as doing your own medical tests.
Yeah, that I had to do that one.
That was funny.
I had to do that one. But it's people, even I'm thinking about it now. It's because I'm 75 kilometres to the nearest hospital, and I don't know how much longer we're going to have diesel for in our Bowser here. We've got a card Bowser, and it's actually filled up from the dealership, the independent guy in Walgett. So, so I'm conserving it everywhere, and I'm thinking, okay, I know I do have to go and get a couple of things, skin cancer things checked at the doctors, and I'm going, well, I don't want to waste the fuel. So that was the only thing I couldn't find a bush remedy for. But, it's even the food, it's everything. And it always seems to be worse in the bush. So if I can be that little bit of comic relief but still be relevant about issues and not putting my head in the sand I just feel it's a way of making people say, yeah, well, she's feeling it, but I'm just putting a funny twist to it.
Tell me about a typical day juggling running the pub with doing social media. What does a typical day look like for you? Or is there no such thing?
There's no such typical day. Well, usually I try to be at the pub on the weekends because that's when we get a lot of our visitors, and it's phenomenal the amount of my followers that I've had since we've taken over the pub that have come and had overnight stays. And, I had 2 groups come through last Saturday, and they both followed me, and they came out with their husbands from Sydney, and they'd done a bit of a trip, but they said they wanted to come back through Carinda and then stay the night, do whatever, and I didn't even know they were coming. So I was actually filming content out at my daughter's place for Outback Linen, and because it was like she's just brought out a beautiful new collection, and I wanted to really do it justice. So I said to my daughter, she's about 30 k's out, and I said, "Can we come do it at the dam with the, all these things?" As I had it in my mind where I want. She goes, "Yeah, I'll give you a hand, Mum." So she was behind the camera, and I was all glammed up with the hair and the makeup doing this. And then my husband rings me and said, "You got 2 followers at the pub. How far away are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm out at Caitlin's, 30 k's away, filming this content." I said, "Well, I'll be a couple of hours." They said, "Oh, yeah, well, they've just turned up." So I walk in, and like normally I wouldn't be full makeup, but because I'd been out doing it, I walked in. They went, "Oh, you're just the way you look on the thing." I went, "Not really, because this is just walking off from filming." Anyway, so that was lovely to catch up with them. But oh my God, it can be, you could wake up in the morning and have a complete plan, especially on the days that I don't shoot. I generally work in the kitchen, or I'm behind the bar, or I'm on a run to Walgett to get something for Peter because I do all the food stocks and all that sort of stuff. And I've trained 7 chefs since we've taken over, and we've just found out the one that we've got who's really good, he's leaving, busily trying to find another replacement for him. And then it'll be training another one. Then I've got to train another one for the new pub. So, yes, I'm pretty good at teaching people how to cook a good steak and a palmy.
Should also mention you're featured in issue 166 of Outback, the following issue to the one in which the pub story appeared, with a beautiful poem.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I dabble a bit. Like I'm not a writer, but I love to put down thoughts and just how I'm feeling. And that came about because I used to get so many messages from women in the bush that said, "Oh my God, I just feel so old and I look so old." And I thought, well, nobody gets the life we lead out here unless you've led it yourself. And then I was just thinking of all the times, that I've been in the paddock with my husband, and it's been blistering, and I can feel the wind, biting my cheeks because the wind is so hot, but you've just got to get through it. Even though you've got sunscreen on, you can still feel it. And then the days when you're trying to pay the bloody school fees and everything's coming in at once, and the days when it all turns to shit and you go under the tree and have a good old cry that nobody sees. And I'm thinking all those things, these thoughts that I had, I save, and I've got a little thing on my phone, the notes app, and I'll just do it in the microphone and it saves it to my notes. And then might be 4 months, 5 months, I'll come back over and I'll go, "Oh, that works with that." And then I'll think of something else to add to it. And then I did a lovely one about after the storm when we lost our beautiful little coffee shop. And that was a similar thing. I just saw, because we used to have these groups of little old ladies that live in town that used to gather, and they'd all meet up and have their coffee out the front. And then I saw them, they used to sit out the front of the service station once we'd lost the little coffee shop. And I thought, oh, it's so sad, but they've made the best of a bad situation. They can still have their coffee, they can still meet up, but how important the shop was to our community when we lost it. What it means to live in a small town, that someone's there to check your place when you're not home, and how everybody will go by and wave. It's just, small town communities and how special they are.
So the one we're publishing is called A Life Written in Dust and Sunshine. I meant to ask you earlier if you could access it and could read it.
No, it's on my phone. I haven't got it handy.
I might have to read it then. I'll give it a go.
Oh, you'll do it justice. You'll do it justice. You're bringing me to tears because it means so much to me and so many women that inspired me to write it because, like, unless you've lived on the land and the hardships that come with it, you don't really get it. And they don't understand, like, I mean, I've weathered so much in my life and, like, God, I look at myself and I think, oh, Jesus, God, you're only 63 and you see women that are 63 and they don't have half the wrinkles that I've got. And I think, well, stop. You've raised 4 kids.
The other thing is they could have had a facelift or they might be using a filter. You wouldn't know anyway.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. And I'm just all for making women love the skin they're in.
It's the only skin we've got. So it's called A Life Written in Dust and Sunshine by Maz Saunders. Oh, love, don't waste your days chasing fountains that don't exist or mirrors that whisper someone else's truth. We wear our years like weather on the land, sun-etched lines, wind-bitten cheeks, proof we've lived, worked, raised, held on through heartbreak, loss, and the long, hard slog. A city face may stay softer, sheltered from dust storms and blazing skies, but out here every mark tells a yarn of cattle yards and cracked red earth, of laughter under gum trees, of trees no one else saw fall. And some of us even carry more, the toll of droughts and floods, crop losses, rising bills and school fees, interest rate hikes that bite deep, days that begin before sunrise and end long after the sun's slipped away. We put too much weight on polish as if beauty only lives in glass towers and glossy covers. But real beauty, love, is carried in how you show up each day, how you've kept going, even when life knocked you flat. So don't measure yourself against another woman's path, especially not against those who've never shouldered your storms, who never chose the road you've walked. Your tracks are yours, unique, rugged, and true. And remember this, you are beautiful just the way you are. If anyone dares tell you that you look older than your years, you just give them a grin and say, better to look lived in than look like I've never lived at all. You don't need the fountain of youth, you've got the wellspring of spirit. And oh, what a beautiful, one-of-a-kind woman you are. And I would definitely say that describes you, Maz.
Oh, got a tear in my eye after that.
So we love to be able to give space for that sort of beautiful, heartfelt feeling in our poetry section in each issue. And
Oh, thank you.
I hope you like the way we've presented it in the next issue.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I wish my mum was still here to see it. She'd go, all those years that she got the reports about Marion talks too much.
It all paid off.
It all paid off.
Yeah. So you can read all about the Carinda Hotel and Maz and her husband Peter in issue 165 of Outback magazine. Give you the last word, I guess, and just thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. And it's just been wonderful to chat and tell a little bit about our story and how we came to take over the pub. And we must have rocks in our head to be doing it all over again. But I just, look, I'm one of these people that I don't know what I'd be doing if I retired. I think to be able to work alongside your children and help a community at the same time, I couldn't think anything better to do, and I don't envisage slowing down anytime soon. So hopefully I'll be doing this when I'm 73.
I'm sure you won't be slowing down anytime soon, and best of luck with the new venture too. We might have to revisit that with another story.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thanks for having me on the podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the R.M.Williams Outback podcast. Maz was an absolute treat, wasn't she? Don't forget to call into the Carinda Hotel if you're in the area. For more information about this podcast and Outback magazine, please go to outbackmag.com.au. If you can refer a friend to the podcast, we'd be super grateful. And please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you know when new episodes land. The Outback podcast is hosted and produced by me, Terry Cowley. Editor-in-Chief is Mark Muller. Original theme music by Isaac May.